Well, thanks guys. Welcome to another Our Auto Expert video produced by NIKJMILES, and today we're going to give you the most comprehensive review that you could possibly get of the brand new Audi A5 and S5 Sportback. This is kind of the hatchback version of the car. We're going to talk to the guy that was responsible for the exterior design. We're going to talk to the product guys about the safety, about the technology, and about all the cool stuff that this car comes with. You have an A5, you have an S5 Sportback. Let's talk about what's under the hood in both of those.
Sure. So A5 Sportback is our 2.0T Quattro. It's mated to a 7-speed S-tronic gearbox. Our S5 is a 3.0T Quattro mated to an 8-speed gearbox as well.
So let's talk about the A5 Sportback first of all. Great fuel economy and the option of Quattro in there.
Quattro standard on all Sportback models.
On all Sportback, so Correct. It doesn't matter how you order that package, you get
Always get Quattro.
All right. Yep. So let's talk about fuel economy and performance out of that engine. You know, 4 cylinders are now to a stage where you can get great gas mileage out of them. 6 cylinders are at a stage where you're getting great gas mileage out of them with a turbo, plus you're getting the performance that you used to get out of a V8, right?
Yeah, that's correct. The 2.0T A5 0 to 60 5.7 seconds. But also what the 7-speed gearbox allows you to do is also have a very low RPM at highway cruising speed, so you're able to get fantastic fuel economy as well. And like you mentioned, S5 Sportback, we have class leading 0 to 60, but also, you know, rear world fuel economy, you'll be touching 30 miles per gallon. Which is
outstanding too, especially with the S performance. I feel in this car planted. Like when I drove the A and the S5, but I feel planted in this car. Is that because there's more weight at the back?
The balance actually is quite good with the B9 platform itself, but also it has to do with 5-link front and rear suspension, so you don't have that feeling of roll or pitch and yaw that you would perhaps in other suspension setups.
No, it corners like a dream. I mean, honestly, and then you could put those seats back flat and then get your bike in the back, an adult bike. I'm not talking about a kid's bike, an adult bike in the back.
True, and that's what you a lot of the employees here also that have them, they will throw their mountain bikes in the back on the weekends. Of course, it's a very elegant vehicle, so that if you do have date night or you do have kids with the child seats, can double duty as well.
Now, is it a little bit confusing because you have the A7, which is technically a sportsback, right? But with the A5, you have different versions of the A5, and then you have a sportback as well. So you technically sort of have an A5 coupe. There's 7 altogether in the A5 family. This was, and I sort of consider the A5 as almost like the 0.5. It was sort of the 0.5 of the A4, right? It was the coupe version, or it was sort of an extension of the 4. But it's evolved into 7 different iterations of that car, and so now it's become like its own planet system, not just its own planet, but its own planetoid system.
Yep. So with the A5, you're right. We of course brought in first the coupe and the cabriolet. Both of which are also available, again, standard Quattro all-wheel drive, but with A5 and S5 personalities, and then also the Sportback then coming on top with that as well. A7, as you mentioned, is purely a Sportback. Perhaps there's white space for something else in the future.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. But you have this bent towards technology. You have more than your competitors have. You have the virtual cockpit. You have a lot of things that they don't. I mean, even in the A3, you had a whole system that comes out of the dash. You have a whole infotainment system. So how important is the technology in this car, and what does the technology have? What does the A5 Sportback have for a customer?
Sure. So when we looked at, obviously we mentioned A7, these were your most innovative buyers. And they were purchasing the body style, but as well as the technology and the functionality that goes along with that car. So with the S5, A5, we really jammed it full of technology, but it's not just important or good enough to have technology. You need to have usable, accessible technology. So, for example, with the virtual cockpit, Different manufacturers are replacing analog gauges with digital displays, but only Audi has the processing power to run essentially navigation or Google Earth on your virtual cockpit, as well as infotainment on your center stack. And then if you have head-up display, you could also be showing speedometer and navigation or driver assistance functionalities. You really need massive processing power to do that. But again, it's the ease in which you can do that. So this is something that anyone from all ages, all backgrounds can get in to the car and feel comfortable. And I think that's the important part here. So a lot of logical steps are being taken to allow our customers to have access to this technology. But it's beyond just navigation or connectivity.
Okay, first of all, we have to understand what is a Sportback. And actually the Sportback is a cool combination between an A5 Coupe in a combination with an A4 sedan. I will explain you why. If you take a look at the car, you see the dramatic front end, the sporty front end of the A5 Coupe. And actually, the front end is really overtaking between the A5 Coupe and the A5 Sportback. And that's important because the Coupe has the more emotional design. The really strong lines, power dome, muscular. What we see here actually is also the S version, where we implemented a lot of aluminum elements, giving a lot more of sporty drama, making the car wide and really emotional. And for sure, the Sportback is using the design theme of the A5 Coupe with this fantastic, let's say, A5 wave, which is really starting from the front, going over the wheels, stretching the car nicely and going in a nice, strong muscle on the back. Why is that? We want to pronounce the quattro system. And with this wave, with this line, which is unique for the A5, you really pronounce the wheels. You pronounce it from the side. You pronounce it also pretty much from the top view. It's fantastic if you take a look at the back muscle, how this is running. Now we are talking about the Sportback. What's the difference? The Sportback got a longer wheelbase than the A5 Coupe because we have 4 doors. So we can say we talk about a 4-door coupe, and this is important because it's stretching the car, gives the car more elegance. And now we come to the roofline, which is the magic thing of the Sportback. We have a really nice floating roofline till the end, and we have a really strong signature on the rear window. This is the Sportback signature. And finally, if you bring everything to the back, we also have to bring the back as much as possible. And this is what you can see here. We try to move everything back because also the rear bumper and the rear lights are overtaking from the A5 Coupe. So in a way, it's a really cool combination between an A5 Coupe, which is a GT thing of car, in combination with the length and the usability of the A4 sedan. And the cool thing really is you have plenty of space, you have a nice department on the back, but you still have a really sporty, nice floating roofline. And finally, I want to add the rear decklet. It's opening the whole thing. I don't know if it's working, I can give it a try. And if you take a look at this, this is really cool. This is what you don't have at the A5 Coupe, because here you have a lot of usability, a big trunk, and if you fold down the rear seats, you really can load a lot, which is quite cool. The interior actually is, in a way, overtaking from the whole family, A4, A5. But if you take a look inside, there was one cool job for us. If you sit inside, you have the right feeling. It's the perfect fitting suit. Not too wide, not too dense. This is what we wanted to achieve. We wanted to achieve a really sporty, cool interior, but also keeping it quite light. Light, that means the architecture of the whole interior. So we have a decklet, we have a lower part, and as you can see in between, there's this band running around. This is all air outlets, and that gives a cool structure, shows width. And if you finally show to this one here, it's connected with the dashboard. So you have a really cool, gracious feeling on the one hand. On the other hand, this really sporty, tight, cool feeling inside.
I know that's one of the main 5 things that people look at when they walk into a dealership. You want to put your family in a car that not only emotionally supports you, that financially supports you, but also makes you feel comfortable that if the worst case scenario happens, that your family is in the best hands. So you really made sure, Audi, that you keep that
that is one of our top priorities with the development of every vehicle, and it goes beyond active safety. There's also the passive safety that's inside each of the vehicles as it relates to structure and things. But I think the ones that people are looking for today is this combination where safety features or driver assistance convenience are bleeding over between those two scenarios, those two categories. So every A5 Sportback, every S5 includes a host of standard features such as rear view camera. We also have Preset City, which is our autonomous emergency braking, so that uses a camera behind the rearview mirror to help prevent or lessen the impact of a frontal collision, should it be, a pedestrian walking in front or a car stopping short, things like that. That is a system that can help with that as well. And then you go all the way to a full driver assistance package vehicle, which will have adaptive cruise control with traffic jam assist, which is our ability to support the driver with steering as well as gas and brake up to 40 miles an hour, at which point active lane assist from Audi takes over at 40 miles an hour to really help the driver stay centered within the lanes on the road. So it's a very comprehensive package that we have in this car. And again, it's one of those class-leading things from Audi that you would expect from an innovative brand.
What are the sort of safety things that you have been working on to develop to go beyond and above? Because I know that a lot of times that you push the window on safety, like you want to just give everybody just a little more.
Sure. So, and we mentioned this last night. Side assist is a really good example. You have blind spot monitoring on nearly every car, and when you dive into the details and you go into a feature such as that, the way Audi does, very comprehensive solution for the Audi customer. What I mean by that is, generally speaking, you have blind spot monitoring, and it will light either on the mirror or somewhere and make a tone when there's a car in your blind spot. But if you can remember, the origins of this vehicle, of course, is Germany with the high-speed Autobahn, and it's very important when you're in either the right or the middle lane to know when there is a very, very fast car approaching in the left lane, perhaps. So our system reaches up to 70 meters behind the vehicle to detect when there's a fast-moving car in. So it not only gives a warning when there's a car in your blind spot, it gives a warning when there's a fast-moving car that by the time you move over, there will be that car in your blind spot. So it's early warning.
So it's about 200 feet in sort of American language.
Yes,
about 200 feet behind you. The car
feet.
is looking constantly for something that's coming up behind
Correct.
you.
And it's also at high speed like that, but it's also the combination of the rear cross traffic assist, which is a 3-stage warning system. So this is your blind spot monitoring when you're backing out of a parking space. So for instance, you'll receive, let's call it first stage is your visual warning. It won't make a noise. It'll just warn you that there's a car coming. And second step, of course, is visual augmented by acoustic warning.
Right.
And then third, if you're really late or the car is really fast approaching, you'll receive a brake jolt as well. Which will then instruct the driver to then put his foot on the brake and stop the car. But beyond that, one of the features that we're most proud of and that's available nowhere else is what we call exit assist, and that again uses the side assist radar to help all occupants of the vehicle exit the car. So this is after your engine's turned off. You can imagine parallel parking on a busy city street. There's going to be cars coming by. There's going to be cyclists. This system will help identify those threats that perhaps if you were to open your car door into a passing vehicle, into a cyclist, and it's not just again for the driver. It uses the side assist to also warn backseat passengers as well. So if they go to exit, you'll be utilizing the additional LED warning lights here, and then also the side assist warning inside the mirrors. Just a little bit of added safety as you leave your Audi.
It's also it's like the mom or the dad in the front. He says, careful when they open the door as well.
Precisely.
Those type of things. Well, Barry, thanks so much for spending some time with us, and congratulations on a brand new car.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Russ, you have already driven this vehicle. Any thoughts?
It is... we've been on some roads that are a little twisty and a little turny, and it's actually been very stable. It's hugs the corners going in, and you can accelerate out of them. It's nicely balanced. The steering feels great. It's you know, it's what it is. It's what you would expect in a luxury sporty car, and certainly what we've come to expect from Audi.
So let me talk a little bit about the interesting things that I've noticed about it. First of all, you know, a lot of times we love beautiful sunny weather, we love windy roads, those sort of things. But although we're disappointed the fact that it's pouring it down in the Seattle area in Washington, which is not atypical for them.
Right.
It's actually the perfect road conditions to test the Quattro system,
Yep.
which this vehicle comes with standard. So that's great. As far as the S, we're in the S5 right now. S5 has Sportback. But here's the kind of crux to what's exciting about this vehicle, is the fact that it's based off of the A4. We looked at the design, it's sort of the A4, and then it has this, I mean, for want of another word, I'd call it a hatch. A hatch in the back. But it's wider, it's more planted, and I can feel that. I can feel that when I corner it. I can feel much more of a solid back end in this vehicle. Although it is bias 60% to the rear wheels, it's planted. And it's really planted when I go around a corner. You know, you can change those driving modes and go up and down. And if they say actually in rain is to select the comfort. So if we select the comfort in this car in the rain, they say you get a much smoother and a much better ride. And I'm experiencing that right now. So the car is very dynamic on these turns, and with the bad weather, I'm having a hell of a great time driving because the car handles so well in it. I mean, we haven't had any slippage, we haven't had any problems like that. You know, the only issues that we've had is me playing with stuff and not concentrating on being in the lane. So what I want to do here is find a little place we can pull off, maybe let the cars go by us, because I want you to experience something in this car in a straightaway that you get to experience, and that's the sound of taking off, and just to feel how exhilarating the car is. If we slow it way down and find some place to pull off, we'll show you how much fun the car is and what sort of speeds you can get out of it. All right, so here's a little pull away. I'm going to pull back into the road now. There's no traffic coming. So watch this. This is comfort mode. Listen to that thing rumble, listen to it roar. I'm at 80 miles an hour already. 85 miles an hour in just a few seconds. 0 to 60 in 5.7. This thing is off the hook and it sounds great. And that was comfort mode. You put this thing into sports mode or sports plus mode, it's so much more of a better drive. But 85 miles an hour just from pulling out of that driveway. We may be on a closed road, by the way. Now, this looks like a regular trunk, but once you actually get your hand underneath here and open it, the whole glass comes up and you can see it's already got a huge trunk space in the back. Now put the seats down, which are a 40-20-40 split, and you can get an adult's bicycle in the back. There's a few other things that are kind of dynamic about this. A great red interior on the inside, which is good quality leather, which means if the kids are spilling grape juice, it's easy to wipe up on the inside. There's lots of legroom because remember, this is based off of the A4 and not the A5, which is more of a coupe version, which means the rear leg space is very adequate for the size of car. And the other thing that's really usable on this car is the fact that it has those frameless windows. Not so usable, but definitely sexy. Well, thanks very much for watching our comprehensive review of the brand new Audi S5 and A5 Sportback. Of course, you can always find these at your local Audi dealer, starting at just around $43,000. The best fuel economy you'll get on the highway is 34 miles a gallon. And let me tell you, if you don't subscribe to that button at the bottom, my mum's not going to get to eat this week. Go to ourautoexpert.com for more information, and please become a friend on YouTube.